Hello everyone, my name is Angel Peralta, and on behalf of Unity College, I will be walking through the training manual for emperor penguins. So when it comes to training emperor penguins, we're going to first look at the training methods. So we do have to keep in mind that emperor penguins are wild animals. They're not domesticated at all. A lot of them have never had any human contact, and to put them into a zoo, which is a man-run environment, it's pretty strange to them, and they're not sure what's going on. So we do have to keep that in mind, that they're wild animals and they're not going to listen to us as a dog or a cat will. So we do have to keep that in mind. So this is why we're going to be focusing on force-free training, where we're not forcing them or making them to do anything. We're not going to negatively consequence them or punish them for not performing the way we want. We're going to kind of be working on their own time. So in chapter 2 of your training manual, you'll notice that it's about training philosophy. When it comes to the emperor penguins, we are going to focus on classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is where we're going to be pairing a stimulus with basically a reinforcement to kind of get a good association between the two, so that when one's presented, the other is expected, and it's always something good to create that good relationship, that good pairing in mind, so that the penguin associates the stimulus with something good. And then on the right, you will see a little example of operant conditioning. Operant conditioning does have 4 quadrants in the system. The quadrant we're focusing on is positive reinforcement. So with positive reinforcement, we are rewarding behaviors that are wanted to increase the likeliness of them to occur again. So basically, this all ties into the idea of no punishment for the penguins. As we previously mentioned, we don't want to force them to do anything. This is all force-free. They're not domesticated, they're wild. So basically, we just want to make good associations and reward the behaviors that we want. In chapter 3 of your training manual is basically a species overview of the emperor penguins. Their scientific name is Aptenidites forsteri. They are the largest penguin species in the world, reaching about 4 feet, which is pretty much the size of a child or a really tiny adult. I did add a visual so you can kind of see just how big they are compared to humans on the right there. They are found in Antarctica, and their environment is very barren because it is so cold there. They do have the icebergs, the mounds, sea ice. They do live on land, but they do hunt underwater, usually for fish and everything. Their predators are usually seals, so they do have good eyesight and perception underwater and on land to not only see prey, but to also keep caution for the predators. Their diet does consist of usually fish, krill, and squid, fish being the more common. And they do interact with their social groups a lot. As you can probably see in a lot of documentaries, emperor penguins will do this huddling thing with other penguins around them. It not only is to maintain body heat between everyone so everyone stays warm, it's kind of a community thing and a social habit for them to interact with each other. So in chapter 4 of our training manual, you will see us basically applying these training methods to real-world examples with the penguins. So the first method of classical conditioning, where we're forming those good associations between things. On the left, you'll see a penguin icon and then like a human icon. So basically, in forming human-animal bonds, we can use classical conditioning so that the penguin kind of creates this good association between humans and their interaction with them. So you'll have a penguin and they interact with the human, uncoerced, not forced. Human does not do anything to initiate, the penguin initiates. Then because of that behavior, the human treats the penguin, usually with fish, to show that there's good association to be made and they're treated for that behavior. In applying operant conditioning, a method we can use that in is for the animals to receive proper medical care. Because proper medical care is so important, especially in an environment where that can happen, such as a zoo, we want to create that good association between the two, and we want the penguins to know that that is a behavior that's wanted, that's rewarded, that's good. So basically on the left you'll see the penguin icon, and then the clinic icon, and then a treat, the fish. So the penguin will enter the clinic and then will be treated for that, so that the behavior of them entering the clinic uncoerced is treated. So it's reinforced so that that behavior is likely to occur. And then on the right hand side you'll see the little doctor vet symbol, the little icon, and then the vet will interact with the penguin, kind of manipulating their wings, moving them around, touching them, and after every interaction they are treated with a fish or something to reinforce that behavior, just so that the penguin knows that they are being treated and given a treat after every interaction, so it encourages them to want to receive medical care. And then lastly, we will be using a lot of target training. This is important in applying to enrichment for the penguins, because they are in a smaller environment, smaller than Antarctica, obviously. We will kind of mimic their natural environment and habitat as best as we can, but we do have to encourage enrichment because enrichment is also good for their mind as well, besides, you know, food, nutrition, and medical care, that kind of thing. So what we have is, so we have the penguin icon, a target icon, and then the toy, and then the fish. The toy is basically the enrichment item, and the target actually represents a target or touch stick. So in target training, there's a tool called a touch stick. It's kind of like a rod with a ball at the end. It's like a red kind of ball. So basically, you want to place that target stick in front of the enrichment toy, and then you kind of encourage the penguin to touch against that touch stick, and then you basically do this in front of the enrichment toy over and over, and you're treating them, as seen in the second kind of sequence there. You're treating them for touching that touch stick with a treat, and then eventually you can remove that touch stick so that the penguin, instead of touching the touch stick where you were targeting, the penguin is targeting now the enrichment toy that was behind the target, and then that's treated so that they know to interact with the enrichment toy and to begin playing with it, so that it's kind of something that becomes natural to them that they want to do to keep their minds active and get them physically going. But as far as training and like a schedule of reinforcement, we do want to use a lot of fixed interval training, because as a wild animal, you're going to expect to be treated for all these things, especially if we're showing you that you're going to be treated for it. And we want to encourage these behaviors as much as we can. So constantly training will encourage that and kind of get them into the habit of performing these activities without any trouble or difficulty. In Chapter 5 of your training manual, you'll find the quick reference. Basically, it goes over body language of the penguins, different reinforcers we'll use, management for training, and then different tools. As far as body language, you'll see common behavior of the animals, such as chasing, which can be seen in the picture on the slide. You'll also see the reinforcers, so it's basically the main things that penguins eat, fish, squid, and krill. And then as far as training management, we want to train these penguins when there's less distractions for them, especially at a zoo. We want to take advantage of slow times where there's not a lot of guests viewing the animals, and in between meals, so that the animals are more encouraged to want to eat the treats and work for them. And then also the tools we'll be using are things such as the clicker, the target stick, as we mentioned, then praising them, and then treats. That pretty much completes each chapter of the training manual. In the appendix, you'll also find the key terminology that we'll be using a lot with the penguins, as well as an infographic with kind of a general overview of training them, as well as a species-specific ethogram, so you can kind of notate the different behaviors seen in the penguins, and then a behavior management plan. But that pretty much concludes the training manual for emperor penguins, and thanks for listening.